Let's talk about the Weeble S, the new version of the Weeble Lab, my favorite gimbal from last year for travel filmmakers, for adventure filmmakers, for anybody who's on the go. It's updated, it's new. Is it better? Let's find out. Hey, my name is Jake Sloan and I make content here on YouTube for solo creators like myself who are out there on the go creating content for YouTube or small commercial projects. And so I do reviews about equipment that helps make that process easier, and I do tips and tutorials about videography and photography, specifically with how it can help solo creators create better content, especially if they're out doing stuff like this. In the interest of full disclosure, Zhiyun did send this to me to test and to try out here in the mountains of Alaska, so it's exactly what I'm doing. But they're not paying me for this review, and this is my unbiased opinion of what I think. Now, admittedly, I was a big fan of the last model, and from what I've understood, some of the improvements they've made with this model, I think I'm going to be a fan. But we're going to run up right up back there, and we're going to put this thing through a few tests and see how it does. So according to Zhiyun, this thing has much more powerful motors, more torque, better stabilization, and a few other improvements. Apparently, you can even balance a G-Master 24-70 with an A7 III on it. Let's talk about some of the changes they made in the Weeble S compared to the Weeble Lab. First off, they've made the motors bigger, not much, but a little bit, but it's added quite a bit of strength and quite a bit of torque. You have the same batteries, the same sort of form factor. The other major change is that the original Weeble Lab came with an image transmission system, so you plugged your camera in via USB. You not only could charge the camera, which was great, you could transmit the image wirelessly to your phone. That image transmission system is now gone and it's off of this. What they've done is actually very cool. Zhiyun took all of that image transmission technology and put it in this little box, which you'll also be able to buy a receiver for, and so you could have this mounted somewhere else and via HDMI actually play it on any sort of screen, or like an Atomos Ninja or anything like that. This one plugs into your camera via HDMI mini, which I had to get a mini to micro adapter because my camera's micro. And then it also plugs into your camera via this USB cable. And then on this side, the USB cable plugs into the gimbal. And they also designed this little plate here that you can attach to the bottom of the gimbal so that this slides and clicks on. And I will say, in testing, the range of the image transmission is fantastic. It's a lot more range than the original system had, probably because there's external antennas. Turn it on by pushing and holding down this button, turn the gimbal on, and turn the camera on. Now I've connected to the Wi-Fi already here, which is good. Launch the ZY Play app. There's a lot less lag and it's way less glitchy than the original version was. Some things I really like about this gimbal, just as the original one, I love the fact that there's quarter 20 mount already on it, so you can actually mount stuff to it. I'm going to not run because I'm standing on the edge of a very large cliff, but I'm gonna walk and give you just a little bit of an example of footage of what this can do with the settings that I've got on here. And then I'm gonna probably try and get out of here because it's really cold. It's, you know, it's getting to be winter and the sun's going down. So, and I have like a 3-mile hike to get back to where I parked my car. So now we're gonna do a running test because it's getting dark, it's cold, and I gotta get home. This is me running in underslung mode. Also, I'm not trying to hold it steady. I'm trying to make sure I don't slip, fall, hurt myself, or any of that. So it's a pretty real world test. You have your pan follow mode, which means the tilt is locked so that the camera stays horizontal and it follows your pan movement, which is great. You can do it in lock mode when you flip this switch down, which basically means no matter what you do, the camera is always going to point the same direction. POV mode gives you lots of tilt, lots of ways to move the gimbal. You're probably getting seasick watching this right now. And if you double tap the POV button, you get vortex mode. To get out of vortex mode or POV mode, hit the trigger button twice. It centers everything, puts you back in pan follow mode. Now, of course, because we're all on the internet, or at least lots of us are, and everybody likes to take selfies, 3 taps of the trigger, and you enter selfie mode. Because, you know, who doesn't want to be in selfie mode? I mean, let's be honest. Especially when you got a backdrop like this. Come on. Right? This is awesome. That's another tip too. If you find that you're bumping these keys a lot, then hit this, the LV right here. 1, 2, 3. And I don't know if you can see that or not, but it locks the keys. Battery life is great, just like the other one. I can shoot all day with this thing and not have any problems. You can charge the camera via the USB. A great thing is you can go into the menu, go to motor, and go to auto. And if you hit auto, with everything balanced, it'll calibrate the motor strength itself. That is a huge improvement to the firmware. So I'm now recording this on the Weeble Lab and walking back to my car as fast as possible because it's really, really quite cold. Another thing they did was redesign the way you move the plate around. It's still the combination Arca Swiss Manfrotto plate, which you can take off and put back on. But they, instead of having little screws that tended to strip out a lot, they now use levers to move that plate forward or backward and side to side, which I kind of like because it's easy. Before, it felt like at times I was pushing the Weeble Lab motors right to the edge of what they were capable of. This one feels like it's handling my A7 III and a Tamron 28-75 or the 17-28, no problem at all. It feels like it's having no issues. Another thing they changed that I really like is instead of the little switches you have to flip on the sides, to lock the gimbal arms, there's now a little sliding switch, which to me makes more sense. It feels much better, and I don't think they'll get knocked loose as much in my bag when I'm carrying it around or when I have it strapped to my backpack. I feel like it's gonna handle it a little better. And check this out. I've got the Rode Wireless Go with all this other stuff on the camera, but it still misses the rear motor arm, which is really impressive. I cannot do that with my Ronin SC, and I definitely couldn't do it with the original Weeble Lab. So some of the slight changes and design tweaks they've made really makes me think that they were really listening to the feedback that a lot of us gave them with the first version of the Weeble. If you have the original Weeble Lab, but you want to use bigger, heavier setups, then this is going to be a pretty solid upgrade for you. If you don't have a smaller travel gimbal and you want one and you're using mirrorless cameras with some of the bigger G-Master lenses and stuff, this is a great choice. If you want to see videos about settings and accessories that you can use with the Weeble S or the Weeble Lab, you can click or tap right here. If you want to see a video about technology, how I use things like the Weeble Lab or the Weeble S, you can click or tap right here. As always, reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, or ask questions in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Cheers. Oh gosh, it's cold. Gotta get home.